Right, I know for a fact that today, most if not all of you have used a television, computer, tablet, and or mobile phone. There's no doubt that our generation has enjoyed the innovation of technology with easier methods of communication, instant messaging, Skype, and or FaceTime. Plenty of social medias to post our opinions, to food we eat as if people care, our Women Crush Wednesdays, our Man Crush Mondays, Throwback Thursdays, and hundreds of selfies. Information and knowledge one search away through our computers and tablets. Let's not forget to mention Netflix and chill on our televisions. Televisions and computers have evolved from bulky dinosaurs to flat screens, our phones from bricks to these. However, as technology has slimmed down, American waistlines have widened and health has grown poorer. I stand 6'1" and I weigh 230 pounds. In accordance to my body mass index, my BMI, I am obese. My name is Aldo Castro, and I'm here to shine light on the topic of information and communication technology, better known as ICT, and its effect on American health. The obesity rate in America has nothing to do with the amount of calories we consume, the environment we live in, our age, lack of sleep, emotional factors, genes, or family history that make me and millions of other Americans obese and have poor health conditions. My major claim is that information and communication technology has had the greatest negative effect on American health. I have three supporting claims, and those are, well, ICT, which is Information Communication Technology, and we'll be referring to that as ICT. While ICT has advanced, obesity has increased. My second supporting claim is that ICT led us to become increasingly sedentary. And my third supporting claim is that inactive lifestyle due to ICT has its immediate and long-term health effects. So back to my first supporting claim, while ICT has advanced, obesity has increased. Computers became popular in the 1980s, phones and televisions in the 1990s, and tablets in the 2000s. While ICT has grown in the past 30 years, so has obesity. In accordance to the Government Organization of Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, childhood obesity has more than doubled in children and quadrupled in adolescents in the past 30 years. Of course, you're thinking that there's obviously no correlation between the advancements in ICT and increase in obesity, but according to the Milken Institute, which has conducted various studies and has published a report on public health, for every 10% increase in communication technology investment, there's a 1.4% increase in obesity rates. So what does this mean for a population of 350 million? That means that there's nearly 5 million new obese people. My second supporting claim is that ICT led us to become increasingly sedentary. As reported by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, many Americans aren't very physically active. One reason for this is that many people spend hours in front of TVs and computers doing work, schoolwork, and leisure activities. In fact, more than 2 hours a day of regular TV viewing time has been linked to overweight and obesity. As stated by Angela Falls, a medical director for weight management who specializes in helping children and adolescents gain control of their weight, I know that when it comes to childhood obesity, too much screen time may add to unhealthy habits that can last a lifetime. In general, kids today prefer spending hours watching TV or playing with their tablet computer instead of heading outdoors to a park or getting active with friends. The American Academy of Pediatrics, AAP, has estimated that the average child can spend upwards to 7 hours a day on TV, internet usage, and video games per day. My third supporting claim is that an inactive lifestyle due to ICT has its immediate and long-term health effects. The first, the immediate effects of ICT-induced obesity are grave. As reported by the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, obese youths are more likely to have risk factors for cardiovascular disease, such as high cholesterol or high blood pressure. In a population-based sample of 5 to 17-year-olds, 70% of obese youths had at least one risk factor for cardiovascular disease. Obese adolescents are more likely to have prediabetes, a condition in which blood glucose levels indicate a high risk for development of diabetes. Children and adolescents who are obese are at greater risk for bone and joint problems, sleep apnea, and social and psychological problems such as stigmatization and poor self-esteem. The long-term effects of ICT-induced obesity are significant. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, people who are inactive are more likely to gain weight because they don't burn the calories that they've taken from food and drinks. An inactive lifestyle also raises your risk of coronary heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, colon cancer, and other health problems. So in conclusion, I'm gonna tie in all my points, my supporting points. The first one was that in the past 30 years, while ICT has advanced, obesity has increased. So the 10% increase in investments on the communications technology, there's a 1.4 increase in obesity, and then on to ICT led us to become increasingly sedentary, as opposed to spending 1 to 2 hours a day in front of the computer or on the tablets or mobile phones. We usually spend 7 hours a day or more on that. And since we have become more sedentary, we become inactive. So due to ICT, we have that, because we're sedentary, we become inactive, and since we're inactive, we have immediate and long-term health effects. So once again, my major claim is that information and communication technology has had the greatest negative effect on American health. Thank you.
All right, I like the tech use information as the attention device. Your transition to the topic was pretty effective. I like the personal experience that fits in that category as well. There's an excellent preview of what the supporting structure is. In the internal parts of the speech, all of the supporting points are signposted as you get to them. Sometimes I think you could use a little bit more transition as you get to those points, but it's all very clear and easy to follow. You've got good evidence on each of the points. Sometimes I'm not sure it's always sufficient to prove a particular point. The first point especially, I think that you've got some correlational information that is insightful, but I think to be convincing, you probably need to have some additional data. On the last point, it seems like there's a lot of overkill here. In other words, let's throw in everything in the kitchen sink that's bad about these kinds of things, and so although the quotes are good and like there are some good statistical correlations on those points, I think maybe you might be overselling that point a little bit. But you did a good job presenting your sources on all of those things. I thought on the presentation you did a nice job at the beginning of the speech. In the middle of the speech is a lot more reading that happens. And then in the last, like when you get to the summary, you do speak to us a little bit more. I think you break occasionally and have to look down and do some more reading, but you're closer to the way you were at the beginning of the speech at the end, and if you could just be that way through the rest of the presentation, that would enhance your credibility a great deal. All right. So either we get off our computers and stop eating meat, or we're not going to be here next week. It's all going to be dead.